Hey everybody, welcome back to Smith's Customs. You got Jacob here. And on the last video, we got serpentine belt all routed, got that in place. So let's start getting this thing together. Let's go ahead and get some of this piping put back in. We'll get the cold side pipe and everything in. But I did notice one thing that I'll kind of zoom in on here. That way everybody can kind of see this. This is kind of what you get to work with sometimes when you do something that somebody else has already been into. You can see that this fuel line retainer isn't lining up. There was never a bolt in it when I got it, so it's just going to be a simple little thing. I'm pretty ridiculous about everything going back in factory spots and making it look nice. I want it to look like the way it did when it come from the factory. I want all my wires and hoses and everything routed properly. It makes it look so much cleaner. So this hose was shoved down too far. We're going to go ahead and loosen that up. That way we can slide that bracket into place so the hole lines up. Go ahead and we're going to throw this nice little bolt in here. I had to go dig for one to find one that would fit this. Because, well, there wasn't one in there. So now we're going to have one in there. It's going to be beautiful. It's like a piece of art coming together. For those of you that don't believe in starting your bolts first before you run them down, I guess you're some of the people that I probably have to go back and remove the cross-threaded bolts out when I work on stuff. There's always that new saying, cross-thread's the new Loctite. I guess if you cross-thread it, you don't have to worry about it coming out. Not sure. Now that we got that bolt started, we'll go ahead and we're going to tighten this clamp back down. Okay, that's nice and tight. Now, let me go grab another battery for my little impact driver here before we continue going. I'm gonna verify this is tight because my battery is getting a little low. That sounds way better. All right. Now we got that fixed. I'm gonna go ahead and back out of this. Oh, wrong direction. See, there's that technology challenge there, right there. All right, now we got that backed out. Now let's go ahead and get this piping in from the intercooler to the intake of the engine. Now this kit was already installed on the truck. I personally wouldn't have bought this. I would have went HSP, but we're doing this on a budget, so this was already installed on the truck, so this is what's going to go on the truck. Well, currently it's on a budget. Here before long, I'm going to let you guys take some control, and we're gonna do some performance mods to this thing. Probably not near as much as the other truck when we get started on it, but we're still gonna do some to this because, well, who really wants to drive around a stock truck? That just sounds boring. I want to make this thing at least be able to leave things off the light. I mean, I don't want it to look like it, but I just want it to do it. All right, we got that. They're lined up. We're gonna grab one of our bolts, get it set in there. Now that we got our flange lined up, we'll get one bolt in there. There we go, that bolt started. We're gonna grab our other bolt. Get that going in there. And that was kind of the point in doing the injectors the way I did also. Just to show, well, it can be done. If you're on a budget, not everybody has $4,000 to run out and buy a set of injectors just to throw in these things, just to hope, you know, oh, well, hopefully this will be it, and that's all that's wrong with it. Some people don't have that kind of money laying around, like me. I could go buy them, but why go buy them? I saved myself all the fun. I got to have so much fun rebuilding those. Now one of these is actually a stud, so I'm going to remove the nut off it. I'm actually going to take this other bolt back out real quick so I can make sure that stud's running down in there. It's kind of a messed up setup here. And I dropped the stud. Well, that adds interesting levels to it. Now we're going to try to get that stud out of there that I just dropped. Grab our magnet. Now we get to go fishing for a stud. And we can't get in there to it. Okay. So we'll have to use a different approach. I'll try to get in there with a pair of needle nose, see if I can get that thing moved where I can get to it. Either I'll move it where I can get to it, or I'll drop it down further into the great abyss down there. It'll be one or the other. And I still can't get to it. There is never a dull moment when it comes to wrenching on things and doing any kind of mechanic work. If there is a spot that you do not want a bolt to go, you're at least going to drop one in there while you're working. It's just a rule of doing mechanics. There we go. We got her moved around. Let's see if we can get it out of there now. Of course not. Well, this is turning out to be interesting. And I thought this was just going to be another boring video. Instead, you guys get to watch me go fishing for a bolt. There we go. And we got it. Now we'll pull that off the end of our magnet. I'll go ahead and run that stud down in there without dropping it this time. I'm just going to use my pair of needle nose because they're right here. I'm going to grab onto the hex end of that stud and just give it a couple twists. Just to make sure it's seated in there. You can grab the proper socket and get on that hex head and tighten it down in there. This I'm really not worried about because it's not going to come loose. Not once I tighten down that nut on it. Okay, now we'll go ahead and slide that back down on there. Get that back in place. There we go. Now that that's in place, we'll twist some stuff around, get our bolt hole line back up for the other side. We'll go ahead and get our bolt started in here. There we go. Bolt's going in. Go ahead and grab grab the nut for that stud and throw the nut on there. Then I have these handy dandy little washers that somebody put underneath here as spacers underneath this bracket for this thing. Because again, this is a cheap Chinese kit that somebody installed on here, so the fitment is not the best. Then they have this beautiful bolt here with this massive washer that actually goes down inside to hold this bracket here. We're gonna go ahead and get that started. Possibly, if we get it to line up straight here. We don't want to be one of the people with cross thread being the new Loctite or anything. We'll put this in there properly. There we go. Now that that's underway, now there is one other bolt here. Have to get that guy in place also. Which, actually, I don't even see that bolt. That must have been one of the ones that was not on here. So I'll have to find another retaining bolt for that. Which adds more levels of excitement to this. Because I believe here, nope, that was not it. Okay, so we got those two hooked up. We got that hooked up. I'm going to pause this for a brief second. I'm going to have to go find another bolt and another washer for this thing. And I will be right back. Stay tuned. Alright, we're back. I found a bolt. Couple washers. They will work. We're going to go ahead and stick that bolt through this bracket here. Maybe. Again, this is kind of fitment issues you're going to run into if you're running one of these Chinese kits. They just don't line up very nice. If you're going to do a delete, buy a decent kit. I will definitely be throwing out some recommendations here in the future. I know of a couple guys. I actually need to talk to them about putting them on through some of these videos so that way people know who to get a hold of. But I need to speak with them prior to throwing their name around on here because, well, it would be very unprofessional of me to do that without speaking with them first. So, that being said, there we go. The bolts are all in. Everything's lined up. We're going to go ahead and tighten this thing down. And then we're one step closer to getting cooling in this thing. When I get done tightening all this down, I'll probably go ahead and come in on a separate, well, we'll hook up the wiring before I stop this video. Then I'll stop the video and I will come on with a separate one of just bleeding out the cooling system. Keep in mind the wiring as I'm hooking it up currently, that's not how this wire is going to stay. This is just a temporary. Let's make sure it runs and moves. We already know it runs. I want to make sure it'll all move and everything works the way it's supposed to. Once I make sure everything works and it drives, then we're going to go ahead and come in, and there'll be a lot that's going to change on it, wiring wise. But baby steps currently. I believe I'm going to need an extension. I think that is a 15 or 16 millimeter they put in that. Again, not the right parts. This is something somebody else has done somewhere along the line. Okay, now we got that intake pipe all tightened up. Oh wait, we got to do our band clamp yet, which is down here. Do I have the size up here for that yet? It's this guy here. Yes, I do. I have the size already out for that. Amazing. Alright, we're going to go ahead and tighten up the band clamp on this pipe now. Now that the pipe's all fitted in place and sitting how it's going to sit, I'm going to slide that clamp where I want it to be. And then we'll go ahead and tighten that bad boy down. Oh, that's not where I want that clamp to sit. There we go. That's a little better right there. Okay, that's in place. Everything's in place. All right, let's go ahead and stick some of these wires on now. So this harness right here, this goes to our alternator. You can see, yes, I have the batteries hooked up. When doing so, you should probably remove the batteries. Me, I live on the wild side, so. But as you can see, I have this thing all taped off anyways because, well, I was working on the truck and running it without the alternator on, so I had this all taped off. So that way I didn't have to worry about it shorting out on anything. Get that guy in there. Go ahead and run our nut down on it. By technicality, anytime you're messing with this, yeah, you should unhook the batteries because that is a live wire. Always has constant 12 volts to it. But I've been down this road a few times and I've worked on a few things and I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to short it out, so I'm not too concerned. Not saying that it couldn't happen, but I'm normally pretty good with those type of things. Alright, there we go. We got the positive on the alternator. We're going to look at the rest of our wonderful wires here that go into the Great Abyss. We have our main plug that goes in our alternator. We have our plug for, one of our plugs for our AC compressor, another plug for our AC. I'll plug those in. Okay, those are plugged in. Now you can see you just got all this extra wire just flopping around up here. That's the way this was routed originally. I'm going to change all that. That's all going to get changed. Now, if you remember when we were putting the bracketry and everything back on the front, I unplugged that coolant temperature sensor because I didn't want any damage to happen to it. Well, now I got to get that wire. I got to get that wire plugged in. Which is actually this little guy right here. Now that these wires are in place and it's actually going to sit there, we're going to run it over top, bring that coolant temp wire down, and we're going to plug that guy back in. Because that is a must. We need to know what the coolant temperature is. These you can see. As you see how much wiring's there, how floppy it is. It's all over the place. It just doesn't look good. And that's our that's one of our sensors that detects the airflow through the intercooler pipe. We have all kinds of wires just strung all over the place. But that is going to change in time. I'm going to go ahead and put the intake horn back on this guy. See, I need my 8mm long extension and a lot of prayers. Okay, here we go. Here's our intake horn. We're going to go ahead and slide that back down in place. Get that back into there. Probably harder than it needs to be. There we go. I think we got her sitting down in place now. I'll go ahead and I'll take my 8mm and I'll get on that band clamp on the air horn for the turbo. We'll just go ahead and tighten that bad boy down. Well, as long as I don't spin the band clamp around like I just did. There we go. That's not good. Something was not lining up properly. I was wondering that, but I thought it was just my imagination. that snapping noise was actually the clamp sliding off from it, because that clamp actually holds both halves. And sometimes these things are a real joy to get in place. Okay, it looks like everything's seated again. Let's try this again and see what happens. Thought it was seated last time. Okay, appears to be. Appears to be. And it's not. You can see too much of the bottom side of that. I already know it's not on there right. Loosen this back up. Loosen it way up this time, give myself more room. Well, this is just being all kinds of fun. Oh, I see what's happening. Oh, I guess I wasn't holding it at the right angle. Oh, that's strange. Okay. Well, right there, it seems to be really happy. It lines up exactly how it should be. I'm making even contact all the way around. I should be able to take this clamp now, run it down. I'm not going to tighten it yet. I'm going to give it a couple twists and verify that clamps. Oh yeah, that's way better. Barely moving, that means the pins are locked in. Yep, we got good contact on the clamp all the way around. Yep. Alright, we're ready to tighten it now. As you can see, sometimes the smallest thing can be a lot of fun. Alright, that's on. Now, I guess we'll go ahead and we'll just sit the airbox stuff in. Just because, well, I'd like to have the mass airflow sensor and everything on it to see what we get for check engine lights and what all kind of issues this thing's gonna have. But before that's done, I gotta go ahead and I gotta tighten up that one last bolt that I put in for that support for our piping here, the one I had to go find. So let me grab a couple of wrenches. I'm gonna tighten that up real quick. see what size that is. It looks like a 13. Yep, that's a 13. Yep, that's a 13. All right, spot on the money. 13 mils here. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna tighten this guy down. That'll be good on that. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and I'll grab the intake box. We'll put that in first and then we'll put the rest of the pipe in. Set the intake air filter box down in here. Slide it down into place like so. And then we need our tube for it. Before I put the tube on, I'm going to go ahead and locate my mass airflow sensor wire, which I know is right in here somewhere. There it is. I knew it was right there. Okay. I'm going to run that down. We're just going to plug this in real quick. I just wanted to find it before I got the tube over top of everything. That way I didn't have to go searching for it after I had the tube in place. Okay, we got that plugged in. Now obviously I'm not putting any clamps on these right now because, well, I'm going to be moving them. There's going to be a lot of removing stuff here shortly to get back in here and do some of this wiring. There we go. I got the air filter box hooked back up. That's all in place. As you can see, these nasty wires all over the place. All this stuff I'm going to change. I don't really care for it too much, but currently it's what's there. I need to see what this truck is able to do, whether it runs, whether it drives. I want to do all that before I start tearing into all this stuff, doing a ton of extra work to it. I don't want to find out it had a blown transmission the whole time after doing a ton of work. So I'd rather get this kind of together, get it to where it can run and move. Then after I verify it runs and moves, then we'll go ahead and start cutting all this harness apart and fixing all this stuff because, well, to be honest, I do not like the looks of this at all. If I had to get underneath here even to change the oil and look at this thing, it would drive me nuts. So I can't have this like this. This is all going to have to change. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and end this video because it's buttoned up enough to where we can start it, run it, move it. I'm going to come back in with another video real quick. It's going to be a shorter video. It's just going to be topping off the coolant system, getting it bled out. And then, well, it'll be ready to fire back up. So stay tuned. There's plenty more to come. Like, subscribe, share if you're following along. Hey, I appreciate it. If you're just tuning in, go back and check out some of the videos prior to this. They were probably a lot less boring than this one, but hey, I told you guys I would do it start to finish, so I'm kicking in, just bringing videos of everything I'm doing. So, all right. That being said, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay tuned. Plenty more where this come from.